Hey, yo, Ward,
Yeah. What's up, man?
can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, bro.
Hey, bro,
I
bro,
can't.
bro. Call 12. We need the police. We
The
need
pol-
the police, bro. Matter of fact, get Nutty Block. Call Geechee. Call Geechee, bro. Grape Street. Call Art. We. I need help. I need
you
help.
need,
I
but
need
just
help, bro. I need. I just. Do you see this? They got me. They got me. I just got robbed. I just got robbed. Can you see my shirt? Look at my shirt. Look at my
yeah,
shirt, bro.
that's kind of crazy. They must
Bro,
have grabbed you up, hemmed you up, or something. Like,
listen. All I heard was. All I heard was. There you go. There you go. And all I heard, and all I saw was this. All I saw was this, and that was it for me. They took my hat. They stomped me out, bro. Look at my shirt, fam. Look at my shirt. It's ripped. I got holes in my jaw. Like, dog.
did you have like a chain, any kind of turnover chain or anything? Like,
My chain gone. They got me for my watch. I can't even do the Shador no more. Like my watch gone. They got me for everything, bro.
was it? Did you get jumped, or would you say like 1v1 they beat you?
I think it was like a 3v1. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so
I
like
heard
head to head, they couldn't take you head to head.
they needed help. They needed help.
Oh, they needed help.
They needed help, bro. I needed help. All I heard was roll tide and it ain't nothing but the you. That's all I heard. That's all I heard. That's all I
Sound
heard.
like you
Man,
got
listen,
blitzed, Bama blitzed.
bro, I'm hurting. I'm hurting. You know what I'm saying? But we gonna get through it. We here. My bad. I got this new setup, but y'all can see the holes in my shirt, man. Y'all see? Let me get the camp. Look
Oh,
at my
I see
shirt.
now why you wanted me to call Nutty Block Crip. NBC. That's the only thing that can help you.
That's the only thing, NBC, man. It's cool though. It's cool though. We gonna be all right. We gonna be all right. We gonna get our get back. Gonna get our get back. Believe that. We gonna get our get back. That's all I'm saying. Matter of fact, hold on. Let me see if I can change. Nope. Look, bro. Look at my shirt. Look how they did me. Look at
That's
that.
yeah. And it's weird because you were just fine yesterday. Like just a couple of days ago, you were fine. Like
Dog.
everything was smooth selling.
Dog. They got me. They got me. I thought I was good. The cloud, it was blue skies, sun was shining. We was kicking and we was on our way. And like I said, Michael Irvin, I saw Michael Irvin set over to the playmaker, thought it was all good. The next thing I know, they got me. They got me.
Well, at least you
Got me.
still got your coach.
At least I still got my coach. Still got my coach. Yeah. But anyway, I don't know what's happening on YouTube. You can't see these comments. But
And
anyway, dog, this mug says, I don't know any English. In English, by the way. They typed that in English. I don't know any English. Anyway, welcome to the All These Sports Podcast that's been robbed, taken for all of his personal wealth and goods. It's the black and white thing featuring A1 and A Ward, man. This is your boy A1. I'm a little bruised and beaten up, battered, but we here. You see what time it is. We rocking with the home team no matter what happens. You can check out every episode of this black and white thing by going to the podcast app of your choice. What is the podcast app of your choice? Wherever you find a good podcast, give us 5 stars. Forgive me, I'm still a little frazzled. You can also check us out by going to YouTube, YouTube at Brains and Bars. Hit the like, hit the notification bell. When you jump into the comments, just holler, I was robbed. Just put I was robbed in the comments. It'll. Anyway, you can check us out Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Brains and Bars. Now, as you can see, I got my homie with me, A Ward. I'm gonna keep messing with this setup here. What's going on with you, my guy?
but I'm good, bro. I'm good, man. I can't complain. It's I'm glad that I've just already been so disappointed that it wasn't possible for me to be robbed. So I don't want to hear anybody from Michigan talk about being robbed. So especially while I'm on the screen. And so yeah, we don't want to do that anyway at all. At all. All right. Breaking news. Ed Ordrin has just accepted the position at Michigan.
That's
I'm kidding.
hilarious. That's stupid funny.
No, but yeah, bro. Yeah, sometimes when you are just suck and can't beat Vanderbilt, you're not in the you're not in a position
Mm.
to be robbed. So I feel for you. The irony of you guys having Jesus and the luck of the Irish and all of those things, and still not being able to get past the SEC bias. Look at God.
Man. Yeah, yeah. All right, man. So we got a cool show for you lined up today. We're gonna get into the Notre Dame thing in just a second, but we got to start with some breaking news that just happened a couple of hours ago. If you haven't heard, Michigan, University of Michigan has just fired former head coach Sharon Moore. He was for cause. So if you don't know what that means, when you are fired for cause, that means that you have broken some stipulation in your contract morally, drug abuse, something has happened that's in your contract that you should not do. It's being alleged that by the university, by the way, that he was sleeping with one of someone on the staff, a female member of the staff. And so that is the end of the Sharon Moore. Oh, he was arrested as well. Shout out to Jesse Abbey, our Michigan Wolverine insider. He was arrested. So that is very interesting.
Wow.
So there's more to this story, I guess. Wow. So yeah, man. I mean, your reaction to Sharon getting the old heave ho, no longer a Michigan man.
Wow. I think you had, I don't really want to take your take on it, but like you had said, he kind of, or maybe it was Jesse, he kind of fell into the position as Harbaugh left, kind of like hey, you were an interim here, when Harbaugh was suspended for cheating, whatever he's suspended for, alleged cheating, whatever it might have been. He did well with his interim, games. I believe he won them all. They're like, yo, we're going to give you the reins. And was it his first head coaching job?
It was. It was.
Yeah, just talk about fumbling the bag, man. Talk about fumbling the bag. Like, ah, man, maybe he just didn't read his contract. Maybe he didn't think like that was something like I can't imagine knowing that that was something you could easily get, fired for without any kind of buyout or anything like that. But yeah, super, super unfortunate. One of our mutual friends had told us about this about a week ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if that changes anything, but you just wonder how long the university's known about it. Like, because now you're kind of on the tail end of the coaching hire, saga where, everybody's kind of gone somewhere. And so you kind of wonder where they go from here. When you have a Harbaugh and you go to, a Sharon type of guy, I think that the university is probably going to crave a big hire, like a home run hire, rather than let's see what this guy can do type thing. But I don't know if they have the time or the personnel is out there to take that position. So we'll see. So we'll just sit back and hope that Brian Hartline becomes the new head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, and that would be hilarious.
That would be, I mean, wow. Yeah, that would be real crazy if that
Why
happened.
not?
Because he's an Ohio State guy. That is why. Like that would be super crazy. And I know I was listening to a space and someone threw out Marcus Freeman. I'm going to tell you, if Marcus Freeman, I know he's been rumored for head coaching jobs. I know the Giants and the Titans in particular. He leaves Notre Dame, I'm leaving the sport too. Like I'm not to follow him to be a fan of whatever team he goes to. I'm just done with college football at that point. I have nothing else to root for.
No, in the wise words of Brian Kelly, it's not if you get fired, it's when you get fired. You know what I mean? Come on, like
Yeah,
there's gonna be a time when Marcus Freeman is gone.
yeah. I mean, it is,
He's
but
the Ohio
hopefully,
State guy too, though, so I don't think you have anything to worry about,
right,
right?
right, right. I don't think he would. I don't think he would. I don't think he would do that. But yeah. But if that happens, I'm done. I don't know. I know there. Kalen DeBoer, I think, is, and we're going to talk more about the college football playoff and the matchups in general, and not just what happened with the selection committee. But I think that if he loses his first round game to Oklahoma, he might voluntarily pack up and head to Michigan. So I mean, I don't know if Michigan wants to wait that long
Yeah.
to see what happens. I've seen Jed Fish from Washington thrown out there. I've seen Kalen's name. Trying to think who else on three posted. Um, But yeah, they definitely had a couple of. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Oh, I gotta sign in. Never mind. But yeah, but I mean, like I said, there's a couple names out there. My thing is this, Sharon, you got an opportunity of a lifetime. You got a chance to coach one of the top maybe five brands in college football history,
Yeah.
and you screwed it up over, over a woman. And I'm not, I can't repeat what was said to me when I posted my tweet. But basically, yeah, it's undefeated. It's undefeated.
It's
It's
undefeated,
it's
bro.
it's caused wars. It's led many countless a person to their death. And yeah, it's undefeated. But yeah, Washington coach Jed
David was
Fish,
a man after God's heart, bro. He was a
bro.
man after God's heart.
He should have been at war. Not to take y'all to church, but he should have been at war. And he was on his balcony. He looked out and he saw something, and he just said, "I gotta have her. I got." And then he went from adultery to murderer. I mean, it was a crazy story. But yeah, well, we'll see what happens. But like Jesse said, he has been arrested, so I don't know. So here's the other thing, and this is, I want to say now, this is speculation, right? But somewhere, maybe I thought someone posted in the group chat, but somewhere I did see a podcast that was talking about him having a type. If you've seen the pictures of the young lady that he's alleged to have slept with, she fits the description of the type that he has. But it was alleged that he was potentially, I'm sorry, detained, not arrested. That he has a type, and that he potentially, or allegedly, I want to put that out there, was messing with some co-eds. I know that's also been alleged. Now, mind you, that's crazy speculation. And to throw an extra little grain of salt there, it was all these people had on Ohio State gear. So just to add a little bit extra context to that, and I don't know. I don't know. So, I wish him the best, but you just blew it. You lost $5 million because you had to have that woman. Um, yes, yeah, Mama Ward, what a woman can do. So we'll see. We'll be following that story. Like I said, I don't know where they turn for coaches. Like I said, on three, they have Jay Harbaugh, which I believe is Jim's son. Kurt Signetti, I'm not sure why Kurt Signetti would leave. He just got paid $1 billion to coach at Indiana. Jed Fish, Kalen DeBoer are the four names that On Three Sports posted in the aftermath of that. So we'll see what happens. I think the good thing for them, at least to this point, their signing class. So this investigation started, I believe I read the reporting correctly, in November, but they just now made the decision today. So recruiting class is already in the sign. Now they can still get out of that. I believe once you get fired or anything like that, players have 30 days to change their mind, enter the transfer portal. So they're going to have to see how they can hold that class together, hold their current team together. What that means for Bryce Underwood, we'll see. We'll see. Because I mean, there could be a lot of. I mean, you look at, just real quick, to look at another Big Ten team. Look at Penn State, right? Look at their recruiting class, and it was two guys. And I thought that recruiting graphic was a mistake. I didn't I didn't think that was real, but a recruiting class can crumble in a second, and there's a lot of those guys who are highly coveted. So we'll see what happens, man. But yeah, let us know what y'all think about that. About Sharon Moore getting fired, what that means for Michigan, what that means for the state of college football. So
Can we also say there were some people who thought he might get fired, I think, just based off of production at Michigan. Now,
off principle.
I, for one, don't think he deserved to be. Freshman quarterback, brought in the top guy, all that good stuff, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know how pissed off Michigan fans are. I mean, obviously, a little upset. It's late in the game. You're going to lose recruits. You're going to have to reach for it. That sucks. You know what I mean? But I also don't think Michigan fans were completely sold on the hire either. Yet.
I mean, I think they were still in that, basking in the glow of a national championship. Um, so I think they were basking in the glow of that. And I think that Jerome Moore, prior to last season, everything that happened, I think had a measure of a honeymoon period, just because he was the interim coach when Harbaugh got uh got suspended, right? He was the head coach when they beat Ohio State because I believe Harbaugh was still suspended. Harbaugh came back for the college football no, he came back for the Big Ten title game, I believe. I think he missed like the final like 3 games of the regular season, came back for the Big Ten title game, and then and was there for the rest of the run. So, you know, like I said, man, it's he had a lot of goodwill. He squandered it a little bit. I know, like you said, Jesse was a little bit frustrated with the offense. Shout out to the homie Dwayne, who we both know as Michigan guys. They were both frustrated with the offense, and I think Dwayne was the one who said that there was people who were like, "We think we should fire this guy." And you are in especially in this era of college football, you're only 3 games away from discontentment. You're
Absolutely.
only 3 losses away from. I mean, shout out to James Franklin, right? You had championship aspirations. You lose an overtime game to Oregon. You lose next week to UCLA, and then that's it. Like you're done.
And teams with a big
So,
rival might be 2 games. And teams that have a big rivalry, if they can't beat that team, they might just be 2 games.
man, I mean, look, I think Ryan Day. I don't think Ryan Day was in danger of losing his job, but if he had lost to Michigan again, I think the amount of angst, even with the national championship in hand, would have reached an all-time high. And if you've heard him talk about the aftermath of last year's game of the death threats that his family got, that having to get security to be present at his home because he feared that somebody might try something crazy. So I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
like you said, like you can lose to a lot of people. You cannot lose to your rivals. You can, and especially repeatedly, year after year, like
repeatedly.
that.
Yeah, yep.
That'll get you up out of there, even though you are producing champions of life, right? Shout out to Bush Jones.
Yeah. There we go. Bring him in. Come on, Michigan.
Hold on, what you mean? Oh, hey, that's crazy. I mean, listen, Michigan has a chance to do something real funny though. Brian Kelly is sitting out there.
He is. Who
Just
else is
saying,
out
Brian. I mean, notable names, not that many. I mean, I would say Jay Gruden. John, his name was probably going to invariably pop up at some point. But in terms of big names, Urban, that'll never happen. But one can dream.
Bill Belichick.
I wonder if Michigan called North Carolina and said we want Bill Belichick, how fast do you think they say here's the buyout?
Yep, have at it.
All right, man. But let us know what y'all think about that. So let's get into this topic, man. And I apologize because I know me and Loso and Jesse have taken over the group chat for the past like 5 days, probably week, going back and forth, back and forth, back and
I've
forth.
been ignoring the hell out of y'all.
But here we are. Like this really took over my Sunday. We're going to talk a little bit about the NFL, but the only NFL game I watched Sunday were the Chiefs. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about Philadelphia. Also, we're going to talk about your battle versus Jack Boy Maine that just dropped on the URL TV app. So we're going to get into all that as well. So for my battle rap people, we got y'all. We got a little bit of battle rap talk coming up. But Sunday. So Sunday morning, I'm in church. All this stuff. I'm by the way, like I don't know what the sermon was. Shout out to my guy Brent. I ain't heard nothing you said Sunday, bro. I'm just gonna keep it a buck, man. Just keep it a band. Like I ain't heard nothing you said once the rankings came out. And they came out right as the sermon started too. So yeah. I remember some things. Thank God for the PowerPoint slides. Just gonna keep it a band. I'm keeping it a band. But I think right before, as the show started, I think Los was like, I think Notre Dame gets in. I said, man, listen, one or two things are going to happen. Either one, they're going to drop Bama. They're going to drop Bama and to 10. They'll keep Michigan out. Notre Dame will go to 9. I said, or they're going to keep Bama at 9 and they're going to flip Notre Dame and Miami. And that's exactly what happened. I'll before because I'm pretty sure I could probably talk for the next 45 minutes about this subject. I have already in the group chat. Your reaction to Bama not dropping. Let's just start there. Not even the Notre Dame Miami stuff, because the Notre Dame Miami stuff is easy. That part is easy. They won the head-to-head. I said it in the group chat. I said it publicly for weeks. Miami should be ahead of Notre Dame because you have to honor the head-to-head matchup. So just your reaction to Bama not Not dropping, period. Not falling out, not falling to 10, 11, anything.
Well, I mean, I think it's one of those situations where if they fall, right, then you create for next year then I won't even play in the SEC championship game. I mean, that's what's going to happen. If they were to fall or they were to fall out, then it's like, yo, why am I playing this game? A team that didn't have to play an extra game or is not in the conference, you know what I mean, that doesn't have to play an extra game, benefited from jumping me that I was in front of because of what? Some pride for an SEC championship trophy, So I think that there's that. Now, I don't think Alabama's very good, and they didn't show that they were very good in that game at all, I also don't think Oklahoma's very good. I think if both of those teams weren't playing each other, they would be out in the first round. Like I just unless they were playing JMU or Tulane, right?
Yeah.
But I just think it's one of those conversations where you're having that discussion and you're like, look, if we drop them, we run the risk of having that conversation next year. Because there wasn't someone in a title game that really benefit or really. So Texas Tech won and they moved up a spot, right?
Yes,
So
but no, I think they stayed at 4. They
were at 4 already. They were at 4 already.
At 4. They stayed at 4.
Okay, so Texas Tech wins, and right. It's a moot point, a cow's opinion, as Joey would say. With Virginia and Duke, right? Like that really didn't turn out. It didn't affect anything too heavily. I think Virginia might have got in if they would have won it, maybe, right?
No, Virginia, if they won, they were in. If Virginia won, they were in. They were going to be the ACC representative.
Yeah. And so, you have this situation where you're just like, yo, like there's only one title game that really like, we're sending the message that, hey, the title games matter. And when you do that, next year we have to have that conversation. Do I even want to play in this game? I'm with you, and we talked about this so many times. They released these rankings so early. AP coaches way too early. Shouldn't even be. I don't even think they should have those things until midseason. Even college football playoff rankings, they're doing it. I mean, it's content. They're trying to just drive content. Everybody's just I need to be talked about and ratings and whatever. But it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, like, do I think Notre Dame is a better football team than Miami? I do, but they lost. I think Notre Dame's a better football team than Alabama. I do, but they lost. You know what I mean? And it's a tough situation. And it's just like, yo, like you really had me ranked above you the entire time. And then at the end of the year, you flip-flopped it, Shout out to Loso's fantasy football situation that he had today.
Oh man.
He's feeling it. He was ranked, he was seated above, and then at the end of the year, there was a head-to-head issue, and he's not even in the playoffs, and so it's a tough, but yeah, I like the outrage is not necessarily the bottom line. The outrage is not necessarily like what happened, like who's in. It's more so like how you communicated it and how it got there,
I think the outrage is about Alabama being in. I think Pete Bavacqua, so here's the thing. The outrage was Sunday's news. Monday's news was him saying, well, the relationship between them and the ACC was strained. And so the media latched on to that messiness because that potentially has more legs. Like the field is set, right? Like there's no justice for Notre Dame in this regard. There's no going back and saying, oh, we messed it up. You should have been in. So I think people have quickly forgotten about that part of it. But Alabama shouldn't have been in. And so I want to ask you this question about the SEC championship game, because in my view, I've seen people take that tact of, well, if you do that, the game no longer matters. And I read that in the completely different way. The game no longer matters if you can get beat that badly and not drop at all. If you can get smoked, and it wasn't close from quarter 1 to quarter 4. And again, if you look in the last 3 years, every team that has lost in their conference championship game has dropped. Alabama is the only exception to this rule. They're the only one to ever. The committee makes it up as they go along anyway, but they really got extra. And so, like, if you're a two-loss, let's just say Texas has the same. Let's say it's Texas and Bama in the SEC title game next year. Texas has Bama's resume. They beat Bama at Bama, right? They go into this thing and Bama smokes them. Like let's just say second half, it's already 21-0. What's the incentive for you to keep running Arch Manning out there when you already know if I get smoked, they're not going to drop me? What's to keep you from just saying, you know what, we're just going to put in the backups? Not to say that they'll do that, and that's a I would never think any team would do that. No coach is going to do that, but either way, there's no incentive if you're a two-loss SEC team to really go hard in the championship game, especially once you know it's out of hand. And I feel
And
like
yeah, that's what
Kirby,
I was saying. It's like if the goal is a national championship, like is it illegal to opt out? I mean, I don't know that it's not. I don't know that it's illegal to opt out. If the goal
the
is a national
backlash,
championship and you're a team that is anywhere from ranked 7th to 10th, right? There's absolutely no sense in playing the game.
there is no there's only the only thing that can happen to you is you lose and you lose a key player. You win, you still could lose a key player. I mean, what was Beck hurt? He got hurt in the SEC championship game, right? That's right. Yes, because Gunnar Stockton came in. Remember, Gunnar Stockton gets
Yes.
smacked on that run at the goal line. Beck comes in just to hand the ball off to ETN to score the touchdown that won them the game. And you could
Yeah, because
argue
somebody got hurt in the offensive lineman, I think, for Indiana, celebrating with the fans, tore his
defensive
ACL.
lineman, defensive
Defensive
lineman.
lineman.
He tore his ACL celebrating with the fan. Like there's no upside to playing in these games anymore. And so it's just like at a certain point, you're going to have to do away with them because if you can lose that badly and and still get in and not drop,
But
what's the
here's my
point?
thing: is like there's not a consistency that they have to stand by, right? If next year somebody loses that badly and drops, we're not, I mean, yeah, you're going to be like, yo, it didn't happen to Alabama last year, but it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Like because there's no consistency, and I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know that there is a that there is a rule in place, right? Like I don't know that that you can. It's in writing that says, hey, if you lose, your position will not be affected. Then now that's because of the unknown, and with the committee, I'm not leaving it up to how they feel that day.
That's true. That's true. That's
Because I
true.
was talking to you before, and even throughout this season, I thought it was like March Madness. I thought that the championship games were like the tournament games, for conferences. I thought if Duke won, they were going to be in, even with 5 losses. I thought, hey, you win your conference, you go to the tournament, the championship, and you win a championship, you are the ACC champion, and you have a guaranteed slot. I didn't know there was all these little things that said, nah, bro, you got 5 losses. You know what I mean? Like, we're not doing this, which makes sense because, you're not one of the best 12 teams. But in March, sometimes Arkansas wins the tournament at 16 and 19, and they're not one of the best 64 teams,
Right. Yeah, yeah. And like I said, I'm gonna again though. I'll say this about the Alabama thing to kind of hammer this point home. Shout out to Dan Wetzel from ESPN. So he and Stuart Mandel from the Athletic, they were kind of talking back and forth about Notre Dame should have prepared the kids for the chance that this was going to happen, right? And Stuart Mandel's point was, well, the committee had been saying, if Notre Dame and Miami end up back to back, then at that point we'll have to invoke the head to head. Now, here's the problem with that is that for weeks. So the other problem with that is that they look at these teams in groups of 4, right? So there's 1 through 4, 5 through 8, 9 through 12, so on and so forth. And so they get in these group of 4 pods, and then they start to talk about those teams together. Well, Miami had been in the pod with Notre Dame for 3, I think either 2 weeks for sure, maybe 3 weeks for certain. Right. And so it's like you had the opportunity to flip flop those schools 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense why you waited until Sunday. And I tweeted this out maybe 2 weeks prior to the final vote that hey, when Miami jumps, if they make the decision to jump Miami and Notre Dame at the final ranking, they've done Miami a disservice and they've done Notre Dame a disservice. And that's what happened. And we'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. But to get back to Bama, I'm sorry. Let me continue with the story. So, I quote tweeted Dan Wetzel and said, "You can't prepare these kids to watch Alabama get smoked and then think that they still won't drop, that they won't bypass them because they're listening to what the committee has said about Notre Dame and Alabama. Yes, we hear
Yeah.
what they said about Miami and Notre Dame, but we heard them say, oh, well, there's a bunch of debate about these two teams and it's super close. There's not a bunch of difference between the two. And so if that's the case, and then you see them lose like that, those kids are saying, oh, we got Oklahoma. They're thinking about matchups. They're thinking about their game planning in their head while they're watching the SEC title game. And so I'm like, you can talk about Notre Dame and Miami, but when you look at Bama and Notre Dame, what I get it. They have the two, Notre Dame. I'm sorry, Bama has a better resume, respectfully. Sorry, Los just threw me off with this. Well, no, he will not. Over my dead body. Um, so, but like you can tell them that hey, they might flip flop us in Miami and be prepared for that head to head. But those kids were watching that SEC title game and fully expecting to be in the tournament. And when they see them at 9, you got to know what's up at that point. And as soon as I saw 9 come across, I said to Los, because he was like, they're not leaving Notre Dame out. I said, bro, scenario 2 is happening. They're flip flopping them. And what I'll say about Bam is this, so we can move to the Notre Dame piece of this. They have the most pressure on them of any team in this tournament. They have it is a different pressure than what Ohio State felt, because I think Ohio State was expected to win last year. People in Alabama expect Alabama to win, but I don't think people outside of the state expect, looking at them over the entirety of the year, expect them to be a championship contender. And so if they go into Norman again and they lose, I think that was a road game. I think Oklahoma was at Bama last year.
I think
Or this year. I'm
I
sorry.
think they
They
this
beat
year.
them at Bama. So if they go to Norman and lose for the third time in 2 years, I do think Kalen DeBoer might be the next Michigan head coach. 'Cause I think if he doesn't get fired, he's going to say, "Hey, Michigan, what's happening?" You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I don't know, but let's turn the page for Miami and shout out to Miami though. I hope they do well. I hope they do well. Their fan base did a lot of crying, too much crying for my liking, but I hope y'all go far. They also have the second most pressure because of all of the whining they did about not being ranked. And I'm not saying that it wasn't justified, but it's like you made the point already. Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing? So, a couple things I want to say about Notre Dame. I'm going to start with the AD and kind of work my way back. The AD, I think he's talking. I think that he was trying to make a point to the ACC. I think he should have made it privately, not publicly. When he started talking about, well, we're a partner. Why would you attack a partner? And he started talking about. Let's get into this. I'm gonna ask you this question next. And he started talking about.
He just added 17 minutes to the podcast.
No, you
Los.
didn't. No,
Thanks.
you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. He started talking about why they would attack a named partner, and he started throwing out stats about, hey, you guys sell out ACC games, sell out 23% of the time. When it's a Notre Dame on the bill, it's a 90% sellout rate. The ratings and all the stuff that we bring to it. I think he was trying to send a message to the commissioner to say, know who's big bank, take little bank, know who we are. I also think he was sending a message of we need to get to 16, because that was the juicy part. But the part that no one has really covered is that he said, I think Miami should be in. I think Notre Dame. No, he said Miami should be in. He said, I think BYU's a deserving team. I think that
I don't
we're
know
a
about that.
deserving team.
Yeah.
They trust me. They were a deserving team. Could they win? I don't think so. But did they deserve an opportunity to be in? Absolutely. They deserve an opportunity to be in.
They got thumped by Texas Tech twice. They look like they didn't even like they. But yeah, keep going.
I feel you. But I think that he is a proponent of 16 teams. They have until January 23rd to lock that in. And I think part of that whole diatribe was when they sit down, I think they sit down either the week before the national championship game or the week after. I think I would not surprise me if they come out with a 16-team tournament for 2026, just because everything that just transpired and because he made such a big stink. Now, to Notre Dame, should they be in the conference? I'll ask you, do you think they need to be in the conference?
I mean, the only time we say they need to be in a conference is when it comes down to like a very fine line situation like this, you know, where it's like, yo, if you were playing in a conference title game right now, maybe, you have, that type of situation. So it's like, did they need to be in a conference last year when they ended up in the national championship game? No, we weren't saying that. Did they need to be in a conference when they play? Like they do very well. They obviously get a lot of money for NBC, all that kind of stuff. They have their teams that they play and stuff like that. But I think what it boils down to is when the rubber meets the road, or there's a fine line between them and another team, and getting an opportunity and comparing resumes and having like one less game, or maybe having a softer schedule than what Big Ten or SEC, which not Big Ten, but SEC, these days schedule is. Then that's when you start having the conversation. I don't necessarily think they need to join the conference. I just think that you can't complain too much when the teams are playing that extra game, or maybe you're stuck with a year where your regulars, your Stanfords and Navies, and these guys or whatever are just supremely underperforming, and you can't show the strength of record or the strength of schedule.
So let's address a couple of things. They say they don't play anybody. Do they need to be in the conference? They do not need to be in the conference. Number one, 5 of the 12 teams in this tournament did not play in a conference championship game. In an 8-team tournament, yes, they needed to be in the conference because it's going to be really hard to get in without it. In a 4-team playoff, they need to be in the conference because it's going to be really hard to get in without it, especially when the SEC and the Big Ten are going to take up 2 spots in the 14 tournament almost every time.
Yeah.
In a 12-team tournament, it does not matter. In a 16-team tournament, it does not matter. In a 24-team tournament, it does not matter if you are in a conference. They don't need it. Again, almost half the field gets in without it. The only reason they would need to be in a conference is because you want to have ESPN or Fox carrying your water. That's what Fox does for the Big Ten. That's what ESPN does for the SEC. And if you are a Notre Dame fan, you listened to analysts who promote propaganda, who have the agenda, who set the tone for the agenda and the narratives, sit up there and tell you, hey, they shouldn't be in there. If you watch Notre Dame versus Stanford, you listen to Brock Osweiler in a game where they were up 42-3, talk about why they don't deserve to be in the playoff. So that is the only reason why they need to be in a conference, so they can have a network carry their water for them. NBC is not in the conference. They don't have like a early morning show the way Fox or ESPN does. So no, they don't need to be in the conference. Yes, they play a tough schedule. This is the last thing I say about schedule. Arkansas, they went to Arkansas, right? So I'm going to ask you. No, actually, I'm not going to ask you. I'm just going to tell you. The narrative in the SEC is you got to bring it every week. That every game is a tough game. That you can get your lunch handed to you at any time. They went to Arkansas, beat them so bad they fired their coach, won by 49. The other 8 teams in the SEC that played Arkansas won by a combined 54 points. So either it's tough in the SEC or Arkansas is trash. You got to pick a struggle. Which one is it, Nas? Is it Uchiwali or is it one Mike? Because don't tell me, well, they beat a 2-10 Arkansas team, but then you want SEC teams to get the same credit for beating that 2-10 team. So their strength of schedule was comparable to other CFP playoff teams. They play a good enough schedule. Could it be tougher? Yes, but they play a good enough schedule. And last thing I'll say about just here's a disclaimer for Notre Dame, Tennessee, all the other teams. You don't want to be in this position where you feel like you got robbed. Win your games. You win all your games, it's a moot point. Notre Dame lost to Arkansas. They lost to Miami. They lost to Texas A&M. They win one of those games, in particular the A&M game. This is a moot point. We're not having this discussion. BYU, you beat Texas Tech once, you're likely in the field. So if you win your games, it's not a problem, because in college football, everything is about not taking accountability. It's about blaming a group of 5 teams. It's about blaming the committee. It's about blaming scheduling, tough out of conference games. It's about everything about what you did or did not do. And the one thing I'm consistent about with my team and with yours, you don't want to be sitting on the sidelines, don't lose. And I'm not saying it's not easy to win. It's not easy to win, but don't lose your game. So that being said, I'm done because again, I can come back on Thursday and continue to talk about all my pro Notre Dame propaganda and get my bars out. But I don't want to spend the rest of the show talking about that. So let's move on because they're not in the field. Let's talk about who is in the college football playoff and not who isn't in the college football playoff. But let me know what y'all think about that. I'm going to tell you now, you hit my timeline about anti-Notre Dame talking points, you better come armed with facts and data. Because just simply saying they don't play anyone, I'm going to smack you. Just simply saying they need to be in the conference, I'm going to smack you. I'm just telling you, don't jump into my mentions on no foolishness. You better come armed with some facts. All right, let's jump into this college football playoff, man. And yes, Titus, we did talk about the breaking news about Sharon Moore being detained by police. We don't know what that is about. As more news comes available, we will talk about it on the show. But let's get into it. So, James Madison versus Oregon.
Next. I'm taking Oregon. I'm taking them in the spread, 21.5.
Okay.
Yep.
Actually, I agree with you,
I
Mr.
do
Friction
too.
Hitch. I agree
I
with
do
you.
too. Notre Dame was snubbed much more than BYU.
No, actually, I think it's backwards. I think BYU was snubbed much more than but not much more.
I
I think
watched
BYU had a better case. I think BYU had a better case. I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying. Notre Dame looks much better on paper. I wish that a fully armed Notre Dame and BYU could have played in that bowl game because I think Notre Dame would have won by at least 2 touchdowns. But that's neither here nor there. All right. So let me say this about James Madison and the group of 5. Because one of the things people said is that we don't need group of 5 teams in this tournament. I disagree. I think you need to allow the Tulanes, the Boise States. Now, 2 of them, okay, you're doing a little too much. But I do think you need 2 group of 5, at least one group of 5 team in there. So shout out to Tulane for making it in there. We're off that low. I didn't see that young man's comments until just now. Otherwise, I would have addressed it. But I do got Oregon. I'm going to take the points as well, or take whatever, however the gambling jargon goes. I think the rule that needs to change regarding the playoff, though, so we don't have James Madison in there, is I think that if you are a Power 4 conference, I think you need to have at least a minimum of a top 15 ranking. You need to have a minimum of a top 15 ranking. If not, then we take the next highest rank group of 4 team or Notre Dame, right? So that fixes your problem in this year. You could have gotten your Bama in, you couldn't got your Notre Dame in and your Miami in if you have that rule in place. Also, ACC, fix your stupid tiebreaker rules. That will also solve that. Big 12, you too, fix all of that. But anyway, so shout out to Titus. He says, does Kurt Cignetti deserve double credit for both Indiana and JMU being in the playoff at the same time?
I mean, yeah. I mean, those are his. Well, the transfer portal. I don't know if those are still his kids or not. You know,
he took
all of his kids. So yeah, no, I'm going no because he took all of his kids with him. So now creating a culture of winning, you know, all that kind of stuff. Absolutely. But yeah, no, I definitely I wouldn't want to take anything away from the new coaching staff that's there and the new players that are getting ready to lose their first game and transfer somewhere else too. So.
I think he took over at UCLA, I think the head coach. So we'll see if they follow him to another Big Ten school in UCLA. So all right, let's jump into the next matchup here. We got Alabama versus Oklahoma in the game that I don't care of all the first round matchups. I care about this game the least. We already watched it. It was not a good watch.
Yeah.
Both offenses are heading in the wrong direction. But who you got in this matchup?
Yeah, I got Alabama. I just think that they have a little bit more on offense with Ty Simpson and Ryan Williams and Gerard or Bernard. I forget the other wide receiver's name.
It's Bernard. Jamie Bernard.
Yeah. Oklahoma's they're really bad on offense. They haven't been the same at all since Mateer got hurt and came back. But I'll say this much: if it's close, Oklahoma's got the freaking deadliest kicker in the NCAA, wearing Daisy Dukes, bro. He's definitely out there kicking like 57-yard field goals like it's Brandon Aubrey. So if it's close, I could see Oklahoma winning by a field goal, but I think Alabama wins this game probably like 21-13.
Yeah. You said you got Bama?
Yeah, I got Bama like 21-13.
Yeah, I just think they got more offense right now.
Yeah,
Everything about Oklahoma's offense is like it's a huge struggle.
yeah.
It's really hard. And I just don't like. I did my own kind of self ranking right before the conference championship games, and I had Texas A&M out in part because the teams they played were not really good. If anybody should have been kicked out, it should have been Oklahoma. I get it. They beat Texas. No, they lost to Texas, but they beat Alabama. They beat who else was their quality win?
Probably
They
Tennessee, but
didn't.
it's not really quality anymore. But it was at Tennessee.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah. So I got Alabama. I think they do move on to the next round, and that Alabama IU game is going to be very, very interesting because shout out to the homie Jesse. Jesse pointed out the fact that when when Oregon played IU, I think they sacked Dante Moore like 6 times. That's not something that they normally do. When they play Ohio State doesn't give up sacks. They got 5 sacks on Julian Sand. They seem to be able to get after the quarterback. And one thing you can do is you can make Ty Simpson uncomfortable. He starts spraying that ball all over the place. So before we jump into this next one, this comment says, if we did, that's not the comment I wanted to show. I'm not trying to talk about Notre Dame. We shouldn't do the CFP selection show until after the bowls. We should reduce the number of CFP teams. And I think he means after the regular season because the bowl games, they play during bowl season. So
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
agree. I think 8 teams is a perfect number. I never loved 12. I thought 8 was the max they should go to. Um, yes, they're not going to stop doing it because it's content. I'll say this about the committee. They get it right 99% of the time. It's just that 0.1% of the time that causes all the consternation and all of the issues. So yeah, but 8, 9, I'm good on that one. So let's jump to the next one, which is I believe we'll jump over to this is the game I'm most interested in. Miami versus A&M, the Notre Dame Bowl.
Yeah, this is my upset. I got Miami winning this game. I think Carson Beck has been there before. You know what I mean? I think A&M, even though they did beat no, they lost to Texas, right? They lost to Texas.
That did. Yep.
They were down huge to South Carolina. Came back and won that game. I don't think A&M's coming in playing their best football. And so this is probably my upset of the first round. I think Miami gets it done. Malachi Tony is just a weapon on
He's a
offense,
beast.
insane for a freshman. And then I think Miami has a little bit of that edge. You know, it's like, yo, we got to prove that we were supposed to be here. You know, and I think that Alabama's coming in with that as well. And so I think Alabama and Miami both win their first round games.
Yeah, I got Miami too, and I could see them winning by double digits. And like you said, A&M has stumbled down the stretch. That game against they should have lost to South Carolina. I
Absolutely.
mean, South Carolina froze down the stretch. They got beat. They they made Arch look bad in the first half, and then the second half, he looked like a completely different player, and Texas looked like a
Yep.
completely different team. But I just think that, yeah, I think Miami is they've been in playoff mode in part because of the position the committee put them in by ranking them so far behind Notre Dame. And so I think they're going to ride that wave as well and get the W here. I just think I like you, I think they're a better team. And if you remember when we started talking about this in the beginning of the season, the one thing I said is that teams who were ranked like in the AP top 10, that Miami, I think, was the one of the only ones that had an experienced quarterback. I think that's going to play in their favor with Carson Beck, and that's going to set up a blockbuster showdown with Ohio State. Okay, the last matchup in the first round, we got Tulane versus another rematch, by the way. Tulane versus Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think it'll be a little closer than what people think, but I'm still taking Ole Miss. I just don't think Tulane has the firepower and the big enough in the trenches to compete with Ole Miss. I'm going Ole Miss, but I don't think they cover that spread. You're muted.
They met in September, and it was a 45-10 trampling. So here's what I say. Here's the one hope for Tulane. This is Pete Golding's first game as head coach.
Yeah.
I know Charlie Weiss stayed. I don't. It's a different thing when you're that guy, right? So Marcus Freeman's first game as head coach was a bowl game. I believe it was a New Year's Day game. It might have been Fiesta. Forget what it was. It was a New Year's Day game against Oklahoma State. They started off really good the first half. They fell apart in the second half, and he just made a bunch of mistakes because it's one thing to be a coordinator. It's another thing to sit in that seat. So the one thing that Tulane has going for is that John Summerall is still there. He's still coaching them. He's coaching them through this bowl game. I think John Summerall is an excellent coach. I thought that was the coach that LSU should have gone after. I think Florida made an excellent hire. And so they have something to prove because, again, people have been talking down on them about they shouldn't be here. And so I think that is going to be a very interesting game. I do think ultimately the Jimmies and the Joes are going to prevail over the X's and the O's. So I do think Ole Miss wins, but I can see that being a tight game at halftime and making a lot of people in the state of Mississippi uncomfortable.
Yeah, also like when you're playing with house money, you know what I mean? Like that's Tulane. That's Tulane and James Madison, like I fully expect to see the trick plays, the fake punch, the onside kicks after the halftime, like go all out. You know what I mean? Like the percentage chance of you beating Georgia and then Ohio State, you know what I mean? Like we're not even going to talk about that. But you could literally create a moment for your college the way Boise State did against Oklahoma in that bowl game, Like in the first round, you can create what people talk about for 20 years. Hey, remember when we won that college playoff game against Ole Miss or Oregon? And so why not? Like when you're playing with that house money, I fully expect to see some of that. And like you said, with Pete Golden, the coach for the first time or whatever, being able to identify some of that stuff or get the team together after they get punched in the mouth with a whatever it may be or whatever, is going to be important. But yeah, I still got Ole Miss. I got Ole Miss by about 10.
Oh yeah, I like that. Let me just do one other thing here. Hold on, let me see if I can pull this up. So I hope that Pete Golding is very successful. But this was the graphic that I know On3 did this. But this was the graphic that they used when they announced he was being the head coach. Hey, Pete, you should have hit them up and said, hey, man, y'all got to throw another. They ain't do you no favors with this one, my boy. Because, like, if I'm recruiting against Ole Miss, this is the photo I'm showing their parents. This is the guy you want coaching your kids? This is the guy you want imparting wisdom to your young son? Absolutely not. Absolutely. But anyway, I digress. But all right, man. Y'all let us know what y'all think. Hey, Friction Hitch, you're in the comments and I appreciate you. Are you a BYU fan? Just you, because you're going crazy right now in Tulane. But anyway, but yeah, let us know who y'all got in the comments, man. Who y'all got winning these first round matchups? Who you think will win it all? We'll see what happens. I'm very curious to see what happens in these first round games, minus Oklahoma and Alabama. And so let us know what y'all think. Hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Brains and Bars. Okay, let's jump into the NFL real quick in the last couple of minutes. I want to start talking about the Chiefs. They're 6-7. They're likely not making. They're 6. They are 6-7. They're likely their playoff chances also looking
6 or 7%. Yeah.
Do you think they can win out?
No.
They have the Chargers, the Titans, the Raiders, and the Broncos. Or Broncos,
Raiders, excuse me. I don't think they beat the Raiders, I don't think they beat the Chargers and the Broncos. Both of them. I don't think they beat both of them. No.
So they play the Chargers this weekend.
So can they win out? Yes, they're the Chiefs. Will they win out? I don't think so. No.
So if they lose to the Chargers and the Broncos, then that makes them.
They would end up 8-9.
Well, that would make them 2-4. 4 in the division too. They would only beat the Raiders. That would be crazy. Um,
I think
man,
they win
listen.
one of those games. I just don't see them winning both of those games, and they'll probably lose to the Broncos on Christmas Day. I can see them beating the Chargers this weekend. Chargers, even though they beat the Eagles, didn't look great. Eagles didn't look great either. Neither team really looked great. I mean, I've been saying in my mind, like, oh, the desperation Chiefs are going to click. I mean, it's been desperation for the last 2 weeks against the Cowboys and the Texans, and they've done nothing. You know what I mean? It's like,
Mhm.
all right, obviously obviously it's time to pack up, and figure out what next year's looks like. That's just how I feel. Now, coming from somebody who had no chances to make the playoffs, the commissioner had him literally said, "Yo, I'm not even going to list you as a possibility to make these fantasy football playoffs.
Oh
I'm going to
God, here
list.
we
I'm
go.
going to list the 4 people who really could get into the playoffs, and then going and doing what I do. You know, what I mean, that's coming from
Speaking
somebody
of a topic I don't want to talk about,
that
I don't
snuck
care.
in.
I don't.
Anyways, but no, I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening. Like 4 games in a row. I don't think the Chiefs have won 4 games in a row all year. I could be wrong, but I don't think there's been a time where they won 4 games in a row all year. Not to mention you're
Gotcha.
playing 2 of those games against playoff caliber teams that are trying to make the playoffs. You know, the Chargers is on the road, if I'm mistaken, because we played
Yep,
our
this is in
home game in
KC.
Brazil.
Yep.
And you got the Broncos on Christmas. Now, not only that, they have to win all those games and things to happen. So
Mhm.
they went out, man. Tomorrow, something could click and they could be the Chiefs. Will they win out? I don't think so.
By the way, I love me by you as a derogative nickname for BYU. By the way, I
Yeah,
really love that. And Friction is a Utah fan, so shout out to the season y'all had, man. Y'all were really good. Y'all were a couple of plays away from potentially being in the playoff. But
very much
shout out
so.
to Titus. Titus said the Chiefs and the Eagles said let's just disappoint both of our spoiled fan bases. And I'm going to get to the Eagles in just a second. The Chiefs need a complete reset. I talked about this um, earlier. I think maybe the last time me and you were together, I talked about the fact that the Chiefs as a team had not earned the benefit of the doubt this season with their play. They proved me 100% right. But the coaching staff, they need to. There needs to be a bunch of people who need to be fired. I mean, not Andy. I've seen people throw out that maybe Andy needs to be fired. I think that's crazy. I
Crazy.
do think Andy needs to tell Matt Nagy, I love you, but we need a fresh voice in here, someone from outside of my tree, outside of my system, who can infuse some things into this offense because the way they utilize some of their players, in particular Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy was a guy who could run routes in Texas. He ran some version of a route tree in Texas, and it feels like all they ask him to do is be faster than his man. There's very little stop, very little go, very little wiggle, nothing. It is just be fast. And that you don't draft that guy just for that. He
Yeah,
can do
no.
more than that for you. Um, but they need a reset. They need a new offensive coordinator, in my opinion. They need to tell Spags either you play the guys that Beach drafts or we'll find someone else who does.
Yeah,
That's hilarious. This is the Kevin Patullo, what's a route tree? Um, but I think they've got to make some changes because you are wasting a year of prime Mahomes. And I do think that if they had a better system in place, this team this team could win the AFC. With how the AFC looks right now, the Chiefs could win the AFC if they were better constructed. And I'll say this as a kind of a as I jump from AFC to NFC. If the Bills don't make it to the Super Bowl this year, you have to fire Sean McDermott. I get it. They don't have a lot of talent at wide receiver. But are you going to tell me that the Bills should be afraid of the Broncos? Should they be afraid of the Patriots? Should they? Should they be afraid of whoever? Well, they might need to be afraid of Houston based on what they did to them on that
gee,
Thursday night game. But to me, there's not any team in the AFC that they should be afraid of with that guy at quarterback. And so if they can't get it done this year, it's just not going to happen with Sean McDermott, and you got to move on. As far as the Eagles, man, I don't know who it was. It might have been shout out to Jay Tuck. Oh, I just lost Ward. Anyway, shout out to Jay Tuck. He made a comment about what does the offensive coordinators for the Eagles do, or what does Nick Sirianni do? And I said basically he called Nick Sirianni Nunu. Um, and I just don't understand why every other year. I understand there's brain drain. I understand that there's turnover with the Eagles. Um, there you go.
I
He
know
didn't
you.
want to talk about. He didn't want
I
to
know
talk
you.
about
I
the
know you
Eagles.
thought the rapture happened.
Man, how does that mean go? If you get to heaven and you do not see me, you are in hell.
Yes,
But no, what I was
fact.
saying, what I was saying was like I don't understand what happens with Nick Sirianni, where every other year he seems to struggle so badly with his offense. Um, and he
Well,
might
the
be.
defense is also not playing as good as well either.
Mm, I mean, they've been hit or miss, but I think they've been far more the more consistent
Absolutely,
team.
but they're
They've
not.
been
They're
far.
not like the. I don't think they have that defensive line they had last year. Like when Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and all of them were kind of like they kind of were really getting crazy last year. But yeah,
So yeah, so I just NFC to me is why. Here's the NFL is kind of mid this year. I don't know how you feel about that, and this can be kind of the parting shot. The NFL is really there's no great teams.
nope.
Just when you think a team is going to be really good, the Rams lose to the Panthers, who are mid.
Yep.
The Bears, they're up here today, down here tomorrow. Packers up here today, down here tomorrow. I don't know about Buffalo. They're a mystery. The
So
Broncos,
it's one of those like it's one of those like tests where we'd have to grade on a curve to give somebody an A. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of B minuses. You
Mhm.
know, there's a lot of teams that are like their ceiling right now is and it does go to like us knowing that like the two teams in the AFC that have the best records with like the Broncos and the Patriots, they're young quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Like we're not really bought into them, especially playoff wise. Can they even win two games in the playoffs? You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, so it's really, I mean, the odds to win the Super Bowl should be pretty much across the board for a handful of teams. If if Joe Flacco gets the Bengals anything, I think we're a little bit like maybe the Bengals. You know what I mean?
well, I mean, if that defense could give them anything, they might be the number one overall seed. They're one of the best offenses between Flacco and Burrow in the league. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So real quick, on our way out the door, couple of big games happening this weekend. Bills at Patriots. Who you got?
Bills. I think they're sending a message like, hey, you guys are like the little media darling or whatever, but here comes December football. We're on our way to the playoffs, and don't sit here and think that you're going to be the favorites in our conference.
Um, I'll take the Bills as well to tie that season series. We didn't get a chance to talk about him, but Browns and Bears. Who you got in this one?
Oh, the Bears are going to win. Yeah, the Bears are going to win. I do think Shador plays well again. I think he plays well again. I was very impressed with him last week. Very impressed with him last week.
Well, I watched the first half today because again, I didn't watch any football, but he was very impressed. I liked what I saw in that first half. He
Absolutely.
looked like a
And
starter.
I'm not going to be one of those people that says, oh, he beat the Titans because they have a pretty formidable defense. And that's who
That's
he's
a good
playing
defense.
against. That's who he's playing against. You know what I mean? So I
It's the
definitely thought,
NFL defense.
yeah. Yep, I thought it was good. So, but yeah, I still got the Bears. I don't think the Bears lose two straight, and I think that I think they dial up some stuff to keep them ahead.
Likewise, Lions and Rams.
Home for Lions.
Home for Rams. Home for Rams.
Woo, I'm going to go Lions. I just think the Lions are playing better football right now, which is crazy. 2 weeks ago, I thought the Rams were the best team in the NFL. But I think the Lions got it clicking right now with Gibbs. Amon-Ra's obviously back and semi-healthy. I mean, he played like he was 100%. Jameson Williams is coming around. And the defense is playing pretty well. Well, no, the defense is not playing pretty well. They gave up 30 points. It was like 44-30, right? Oh, crap.
Yeah.
And they got Puka. They got all kind of weapons. I'm still going Lions. I'm taking Lions.
I'm taking the Rams. I think the Rams bounce back after last week. Packers and Broncos.
Where's this at?
It's in Denver.
I'm going Packers. I'm going Packers with this game. Yeah. I think the Broncos, they've been winning a lot of close games. And I think that, the Packers, I think the Packers come in and win.
Okay. Yeah, I got Packers too. The Broncos live too dangerously for me. They've been getting away with it. I think this is the week where it finally catches up with them.
Yeah.
And with that, that's our time. Yo, Friction Hitch, follow me on Twitter. I would like to talk to you more. At Brains and Bars. You can follow the show at Brains and Bars on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. You can also check out this show on YouTube by searching at Brains and Bars. Hit the notification bell, hit the like, tell a friend, and tell a friend it's them boys again. You can
If
follow
you're
Twitter.
free for like 30 minutes tomorrow, we could jump on and just do a battle rap segment for the two.
Absolutely, because
That
we
way.
get a chance to get to that. You versus Jack Boy Maine dropped on the URLTV.tv app.
Yeah.
Battle Rap lives on the app. So
App gang, man.
join the app gang.
$7.99, man.
Join the app gang, $7.99. Shout out to them. They have not raised the price since they dropped that like 6 years ago. So it's all there, a lot of content there, a lot of great battles. Other battles from Outside 5 are going to be dropping soon. But the first drop, Ward versus Jack, it's a good back and forth. Go check that out. And yeah, man, we can find some time to jump on and talk about Philadelphia because we didn't get a chance to get to that.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about Outside 5. Shout out to being omnipresent, two places at the same time. And
that's why we did this. That's why we got this little camera over here on the other side.
Y'all can't see that. I can.
Okay.
I can though. But shout out to y'all. It's been the Black
and White
thing, man. We'll holler at y'all next week or tomorrow for the battle rap people. If we get a chance,
we'll do that.
We'll send out a link. So we'll holler at y'all. Y'all be easy. Peace.